I realized recently? I used to feel the need to explain everything. All the time, like stupid things. Before I get into this, before I get ahead of myself, hi, my name's Kinzzy. I am a trauma-informed life coach and an NLP life coach. I study your brain. We talk about all things over here: manifestation, relationships, trauma healing, everything in between. So if that resonates with you, please hit subscribe. I would love to have you around. Other than that, let's jump into it. So I have always felt the need to explain everything and justify everything as if somebody wouldn't believe what I was saying. And I just recently came to this discovery about myself. Even if it was something stupid, like why I was running late. Like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm running late, but I couldn't find my keys, and then, I had to stop for gas and this and that. I would have to explain the whole thing versus instead of just saying, sorry, I'm running late. I would have to explain everything. Or if I was telling a story, I don't know, what I cooked for dinner, I would have to explain something like they wouldn't believe me. Everything about everything. But what I realized, since I've had all these huge transformations in my life this past year, I don't do that anymore. And that didn't come intentionally. So I was thinking, where did that shift happen? How did I stop doing that? And as a coach, I dug deep into that because I need to know everything. but yeah, so I was like, when did I stop doing that? This year, it was kind of like one thing after another constantly that I was working on for myself. And one of the big ones that I worked on was setting boundaries. And when I would set boundaries, it was like saying no to people and leaving it at no. Standing up for myself, because I was never able to do that. If somebody would make a deprecating joke on my behalf and tease me, and I would never stick up for myself, so I learned to do that. Or somebody would get an attitude with me, I would learn to put an end to it. So I had learned to start setting boundaries and sticking up for myself. And when I would start doing it, I had taught myself to do it without having to justify it. So instead of saying stop talking to me like that, I don't deserve it, I'm a human too, blah, 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 I would just say, stop talking to me like that. And I was getting myself in the habit of doing that. And with that came, without even me realizing it, in other areas of my life where I had been always over-explaining everything, because I'm sure at some point in my younger self, somebody must have accused me of lying when I wasn't, or something, to the point where I had a trauma response of always over-explaining. So then when I started working on these boundaries, then all of a sudden, this energy shift that I had flowed into the rest of my life, where I stopped over-explaining everything else. Not just over-explaining my boundaries, but over-explaining everything. And it came super naturally because I was doing all of these things, working on becoming my best self. I was working on setting boundaries. I was working on my confidence. Oh my gosh, was that a big one? Because not only have I never been confident in my literal entire life, but going through what I went through with my ex, where he degraded me for 4 years straight every single day, and then almost took my life and left me with absolutely nothing, my confidence was, of course, it was shattered. The only thing that left me with a little bit of confidence was the fact that I finally had the balls to leave. But so I was working on my confidence, and I was working on, healing so many things and trying to become a coach so that I could help others heal, and then dealing with what's it called? I forgot the word. Oh my gosh. I don't know how I'm drawing a blank on it, but when you feel like you're somebody that you're not, because I was still healing, so how was I going to help somebody else heal? I was trying to stop people pleasing because that was something that was tied to me so deeply, and I wanted to, protect my peace because I had never been able to do that before. Everybody always disrupted my peace my entire life. So I was working on all of these things, and it was not pretty. It was deep, dark, in the shadows. I mean, doing this somatic breath work and journaling and crying and hiding in the corner and not letting my kids see me cry and just doing all of this work, and it wasn't cute. I was not in a great place. I feel like a lot of the time social media makes healing look like this aesthetic, pretty, become your best self, healing is a beautiful journey. And it's not always such a beautiful journey at all. It is very dark, ugly, crying, going through the dark night of the soul type of shit. It's not always a pretty experience. I mean, sure, sometimes there's pretty experiences to it. Sometimes it's a beautiful thing. My spiritual awakening, certain parts of it absolutely was a beautiful experience. But nobody portrays the dark shit Nobody portrays how hard it is to really start setting boundaries when you've never had one in your life, or try to build confidence when you've never had it in your life. Try to establish a sense of foundation for your life when everything gets shattered. Like, none of that is pretty. And my God, how lonely is it? Even if you have someone in your life, healing and in this journey, it's so lonely. You have to be okay with being with yourself. And you come out so much stronger, but like, you have to get really, really, really okay being lonely. But once I did, did this work, as messy and ugly and hard as it was, I started noticing changes. Not only within myself, but within my reality. I started noticing people treating me differently. I started noticing different opportunities coming into my life. I literally attracted classes purely for coaching. That's how I knew I wanted to be a coach. Because right when everything first happened, I didn't even know that I wanted to be like a coach. I didn't even tell this story, I don't think, on the internet. When I had my spiritual awakening, I knew I wanted to help people. I didn't know it was going to be specifically coaching. I just knew I wanted to help people. And then 7 days after everything happened, I opened my phone and I go on Facebook and there's an ad for a free coaching course. And I was like, that's my sign. That's it. That's what I need to do. And I took it and I've been on this route ever since. And I loved it. It was an amazing course. It was fantastic. But had I not aligned to this, and had I not started that work, and had I not gone through my dark night of the soul, and had I not gone through all of these things, I never would have had that aligned. I never would have opened my phone at the exact time and had that exact ad come up. And, and it wasn't in my algorithm. It wasn't something I had ever searched. It wasn't something that was like anything that all my friends, none of my friends are into this stuff. I don't have a single friend that is a coach or does anything like this. Not on my Facebook, not on nothing. None of my friends do anything like this. So there was no reason it should have been on my feed. I had never had an ad like that before. It was purely something so new. And that just goes to show you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be ready. You don't need to be at a certain point. You don't need to be like, okay, well, once I hit here, then I can start doing this. You just need to be aligned. And you need to say, okay, I don't care how messy it is, I'm going to do it. Do you know how, that was 7 days after my whole life shattered. Literally. And I was like, okay, I'm in it. Let's do it. And at the same time as I'm working on becoming a coach, I'm healing and going through all of this stuff, learning to set boundaries and learning to, say no to people and learning to set boundaries and say no without giving an explanation. Because why do we give explanations, Like I had said earlier, probably because at one point I was accused of lying when I wasn't as a kid, maybe. Or maybe we're afraid of being judged. Or maybe we want to, fit in, so we're desperately reaching to have people like us, and it's a overreach. Or maybe even you feel guilty for whatever you're saying or explaining. Maybe you feel some sort of guilt there, even if you shouldn't. Like when I was a kid and I wasn't allowed to have feelings, quote unquote, obviously I'm allowed to have feelings, but my mom would not let us have feelings. She wouldn't let us explain that we had feelings. We weren't allowed to talk about how we felt. There we go. That's how I want to say that. If I was ever feeling something, I would always over-explain because I felt guilty for having feelings. But when I started to wake up to the fact that, oh my God, it's okay. It's okay to have feelings. I don't need to explain it. I'm a human being. I have this right. And then I started to realize I had all of this energy. I started to realize that everything was going to be okay. I started to realize how powerful I really was. When I started to put all of these things into action, these boundaries, and work on my confidence and start loving myself, everything started working out so powerfully. It became so amazing. Life became so amazing, and it's done nothing but skyrocket ever since. But had I not gone through those hard things, had I not healed through those hard things, had those hard things never happened, had I not made those discoveries, I wouldn't be here. And now I'm on my path. I found my purpose. I'm going through the most exciting parts. I'm building these foundations for the coolest things I've ever done. Every day I'm doing something cooler and cooler towards the best things I've ever done, and I'm so excited. So when you're facing the hard things, just remember it's so necessary in your journey. And I know sometimes that doesn't make it easier because I've gone through that too, where it's I know I need this for where I'm going, but God, is it hard? I get it. I've been there. Just think about your future self and how they made it through because of where you are now. You're doing it. Think about your inner child. Okay, my phone died. I guess that means it's time for me to stop talking. I was going to say think about your inner child and what they need and what they would love to see from you and use that as inspiration. But other than that, I'm going to stop talking now. I think that was my sign and my cue to be done. So I will see you in the next one. Bye.